What up is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads, where we give you daily Dynasty content here on YouTube. We are going to be going through, does draft capital for a player matter? Does it matter if he's drafted in the first round, second round, third round, fourth round? Does it matter? Is there a difference if you have drafted somebody versus Henry Ruggs in the first round versus a Bryan Edwards in the second round? Which one should you be going after? These are all questions that can be, at least you can put more odds to it. Of course, in blackjack, you'd rather have a 20 than like a 16. So let's get you more 20s instead of 16s. And that will give you better chances of winning. This is an article, again, by Keith Emmingser. He did one on Dynasty Nerds website about draft capital. And there's some really good statistics here. And so we're going to go through some overviews here first. The top 200 drafted fantasy players, 50% of them were drafted in the first and second round. Half of your players that were drafted in fantasy football are drafted in the first and second round. So that's just an overall view, exactly 50%, which is kind of cool to see. So 100 of those 200 players were drafted in the first and second round. So engrave that into your head. Players that are really good, of course, in the top 200, they get drafted early. 80%. So 20% is a small margin. You want to put your money on the big odds. 80% were drafted in the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft. So that's huge. Now, let's look at some of the top players. We have the top 24 and the top 48. The top 24, we have exactly 3/4, 75% were drafted in the first 2 rounds. So of the big stars, most of them, 3/4 of them, are drafted in the first 2 rounds. So know that if you have a third-round running back that gets drafted or a third-round wide receiver, the chances of them are less likely to be a top 24 player. First 2 rounds are important. Now, 83% of the top 48 players are drafted in the first 3 rounds. It's also why for round 4 and beyond, I have a big dark zero, like a big line. It's almost like the equator line. And so when I look in my dynasty drafts, my rookie drafts, a lot of times I will put a big dark line there because I know that individuals that were drafted in the 4th round or later, they have a 17% chance. And then I have an 83% chance here, or at least a better chance here. It's not exactly 83%, but yeah, I have a lot better chance in the first 3 rounds. So let's look at round per round here in the top 200 players. First round, 26.5%. Second round, 23.5%. These are the top 200. Then third round, 18. Fourth round, 11.5. Fifth round, 7%. Sixth round, 3.5. Seventh round, 2. Undrafted. Actually, undrafted is 8%. So you have a better chance of drafting an undrafted player than a 5th round prospect, which is kind of interesting to see. And then we get those James Robinsons and types like that. But this is all 2019 and before content, thanks to Keith. So I'm going to be putting some of this stuff up here. And if you're new to the channel and you've gotten this far, please subscribe. We're doing daily content, like I said, and comment a number between 1 and 1,000, and we're going to be doing some giveaways here. Let's see. So, top 24 players. First round, we have 41.67%. Second round, again, 33.3%, which is a third. And then third round, 12.5. Fifth round, 12.5. So, there's not even a 4th rounder on there. Now, of course, this definitely can change, but this is what happens when you have the ADP going into 2020. And you can see we have the top 48 players here, so you can always screenshot that or look at Keith's article and see exactly the top 48 players, the top 96 players where they are drafted, and looking at those stats as well. I'm not going to go that in depth, but we are going to start at running backs. So running backs 1 through 12, because everyone loves their running backs. Where are they drafted in the NFL draft? Well, 83% of them. So 41.67 plus 41.67, that's 83 and a third, I think, are drafted in the first 2 rounds. Only 2. Yeah, only 2. 1 drafted in the 3rd, 1 drafted in the 5th. Now, of course, if we were doing the next year's content, James Robinson would be, of course, a part of that. But this is previous. This is last year's. We haven't gone through, I don't know if Keith has put out his 2020 results through here, but this is 29 going into the 2020 ADP season. And then we look at 1 through 24. Again, we're talking 62%, if that's my quick math. 83% if you're talking the first 3 rounds. So there is a lot of draft capital importance for the first 3 rounds. Again, why I put kind of a dark line when we're going into even a redraft or into Dynasty, I put a big line through there and go, okay, if they were drafted in the 4th round, I really love that running back, but the chances are just so slim compared to having a top 3 round running back. And so that's why a lot of these 2021 rookies are going to be very interesting to see where they go, because if they go in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, then I'm going to be definitely less likely to be investing in them, and there's some running backs that could really fall down the board. And then 1 through 36, a top 36 running back, which is a viable running back. We're, again, looking at about a quarter when it comes to first, second, third. So 75% of the running backs in the top 36 are drafted in the top 3 rounds. So not super shocking, but it's a conclusion that we need to pretty much not erase 4 through undrafted, but it's close enough where you have to start looking at that being a huge drop-off. Excuse me. Wide receivers. So wide receivers, well, we have top 12. We have the first round, 41.67%, second round, 33%. Again, that 5th rounder, I'm pretty sure that's Stephon Diggs. I wonder if they say on here, but I'm pretty sure that's Stephon Diggs. Stephon, they don't show. But just knowing that top 12 wide receivers, first, second, third round. Again, 4th round, below, kind of erase. Even the top 24, you're looking at 2 wide receivers in the top 24 were drafted in the 5th round. No one in the 4th, 6th, 7th are undrafted. Top 2, 3 rounds, again, importance. Anybody drafted 4th and beyond, almost erase off your mind. So again, you can get this on Keith's article here. So he goes through all the different stats in here. Tight ends, shocker, probably very similar to the wide receivers and the running backs. Yep, they get drafted a little bit lower, but we're talking top 12 tight ends. More than 75%, about 83%. So two of the top 12 were not drafted in the top 3 rounds. We have 1 5th rounder and 1 6th rounder. And tight ends 1 through 12 are almost the only importance when it comes to that. And then 4 of the top 12 were drafted in the 1st round. So if it's a 1st round tight end, that's going to be a third of the tight ends drafted. I know Mark Andrews is a little bit later and stuff like that, but I mean, you're looking at, and Kelsey was later, but I mean, those are, again, diamonds in the rough compared to the normal. And then 1 through 24, again, a lot of 1st rounders, again, more than 75% in the top 3 rounds. Interesting enough, most of them actually came from the 3rd round, so a little different. So just know that if you want a 3rd round tight end is not necessarily a lot worse than a 1st round tight end when it comes to tight ends wise. Conclusions and final thoughts. Rounds 1 through 3, so important in draft capital. Rounds 4 through 7, just choose sparingly and don't waste high fantasy draft capital in redraft, in dynasty, whether that's rookie, superflex, standard, doesn't matter. Rounds 1 through 3 are going to be your more important rounds. Put your money on those type of players compared to other players which are going to have far less hit rates. And we are talking about, again, we are just talking about diamonds, not diamonds in the rough, but we are trying to put our odds, put our money where we can have the most hit rates. If there was a specific battle shield way strategy of winning, you splatter it around, or if you had a hit, you wouldn't all of a sudden go way over to the other side of the board and try to hit. You would continue to try to hit around that area. And so most of the players that hit are 1 through 3, which is kind of obvious. And those are the players that are going to get drafted, of course, sooner. But again, rounds 4 through 7, not nearly, it's a huge drop-off. It's not like a little drop-off. It's a huge cliff of drop-off. And I've seen stats like this and analytics of this a lot of times in the past as well. Analytics are important. Video is important as well, but it just shows that your chances are less. And that's all that I wanted to at least point out in this video. So if you're new to Dynasty, new to even like redrafts or fantasy football or whatever it is, if you do some time and some like research and looking at least when some of these draft capitals are, I definitely think you can hit more than you miss. And now it's just about looking at some of those videos and trying to find tiebreakers on who you like and watching other Dynasty experts and Dynasty, whether it's videos or podcasts or whatever it might be. I do the same thing. I watch video and podcasts every day as well to make sure that I'm keeping up to date with players and keeping up to date with different content as well, because I want to make sure that I have as much knowledge as possible so that I can give myself the best chance at winning. And I like winning. So this is Marcus, Dynasty Football Dads, where we give you daily content. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Peace out. Bye.